Hello and welcome to Galata Plus. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Vinayan's Pathonpatham Noottandu, starring a terrific Siju Wilson. Now, the film is set in Travancore and it is two kinds of biopic. Firstly, it is a biopic of the time period of the title, that is the 19th century. We get the legend of Nangeli, played by Kayadu Lohar, who cut off her breast in order to protest against the breast tax, which was imposed on oppressed caste women who dared to cover their chest. We have Chemban Vinod Dose as Kayamkulam Kochani, the Robin Hood-like outlaw who stole from the rich and gave to the poor. We learn how bad it was even for dominant caste women who were sometimes forced to marry very old men. One such woman approaches the powerful Arattapura Velayuda Panikkar, played by Siju Wilson. She wants his help, but he says his focus is on helping oppressed caste people like him. He cannot help Nair women too. Also, if he does this, if he does help her, the king of Travancore might turn against him, and so far, the ruler has been a kind benefactor. What he's essentially saying is that despite his mission of helping those like him, he knows his place. And we come to the second biopic in this film, a slice of the life of this man. He's filled with contradictions. While most oppressed caste people work in menial jobs, Velayuda Panikkar is a very successful spice merchant. So it is to his advantage to not upset the status quo, which is evident in the scene where he requests his grandfather to not go to a Kathakali performance, which was apparently only for the dominant castes. Only they were allowed to watch Kathakali performances. Even when the king requests him to take a seat in court, he prefers to remain standing. Perhaps he knows that the king may not mind, but the high-born courtiers certainly will. And yet his blood boils when he sees the injustice around him. Apart from the breast tax, there's a mustache tax, punishment for wearing nose rings, there's a fishing tax, and all this applies only to the oppressed caste. The king and queen of Travancore are sympathetic and they really like Velayuda Panikkar. In fact, it is the king that gives him that title and surname. But behind their backs, the others in the nobility keep finding ways to demean Velayuda Panikkar and others. Siju Wilson does full justice to this character. He stands really erect, and from that very stance, from that body language, we see that he is not the kind of person who bows easily to others. He is superb in the scene where he asks Kochuni if he is really Robin Hood or if he just helps the poor in order to shut them up so he can continue to rob the rich. I wish the film had chosen to go with one biopic or the other. That is, either show us what the 19th century was like through a series of incidents and vignettes, or tell us the story of Velayuda Panikkar. But because it tries to do both, there are some clunky passages. Nangeli comes and goes as she pleases without a sustained character arc. The Kochuni subplot gets no closure. The British are your typically wild, evil buffoons who want to sleep with dark-skinned women or demand wrestling matches where the loser is killed by the winner. And the relentless slow-mo used to showcase Velayuda Panikkar as a hero, especially during the action scenes, that gets really tiring. But all that said, Pathonpatham Noottandu holds your attention. It is a big production with some decently staged set pieces. And the best parts are the ones that show Velayuda Panikkar on a mission to retrieve jewels stolen from the king's favorite temple. This alone could have been a movie, a grand adventure. But inevitably, Velayuda Panikkar cannot be shown as just a warrior. He also needs to be seen as someone who really tried to change things. At the end, we are shown that things did change. They did become better for the oppressed thanks to an order by the king, but in word only. We are told that these orders were not actually obeyed. The systematic oppression continued, and perhaps it still continues. So that's it about Pathonpatham Noottandu. If you like this review, do subscribe to Galata Plus and see you soon at the movies.